It knows how to hunt.
Didn't it play out like that with?
Yeah, it's like an homage.
What?
An homage is when you press Control C on your keyboard and then Control V.
Oh, okay.
This is PD from the Spin Rack, and we also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
Hey, sorry guys. So, everything happened at once, and we haven't been able to get you stuff, but we haven't lost too many viewers, so thank you for that. And we got you a movie review of Prey, the new Predator sequel, right? Or Predator, of the part of the Predator franchise, right? And before we go, since I guess Cal, do you want to give a little overview of this?
Of
This
Prey?
movie? Yeah, Prey, yeah. You put me onto this movie, so you want to give the little
Oh
give
man,
my,
that's well. Thanks, man.
I'll give a quick thing.
No, I like the way you worded it. Was like, well, this is your fault.
No, I'm not. I don't mean it. I mean you hinted me, and I found time to put it in. I will say that this basically in the past, like the 1800s. It's hinted in I think the second movie where there was you could see an old timey gun. So we kind of have a hint of that, and this hints that there could be other stories in the past. And
Well, it's actually it. Sorry, it's actually connected to Predator 2.
mhm.
In as much as this is like what this is the year 1715, and there's a in Predator 2 at the very at the close of the film, Danny Glover tracks the Predator that he's fighting onto his ship. He fights, he wins, but then the other Predators who have been observing the fight materialize, or at least they make themselves visible, and they cart off they cart off the dead Predator, and the eldest Predator there, the guy who looks like he's in charge, he throws Danny Glover like a token or a trophy for his victory, and it's a pistol, a flintlock pistol from 1715. So this film over here actually ties into that. That's like it's really thin how it ties into it, but it's also into some of the Predator comics where we'll see the Predator fighting, the Predators fighting during the Civil War in America, or they've done this before, this type of thing in the Dark Horse comics, and they also had a comic where it was it Predator Big Game, and he was fighting against the Native American character whose name I don't remember. So this takes from a different, it's not a whole cloth idea or even original. It's been done with the Predator in the Dark Horse comics before. So, but this is a sequel where they're trying to say let's try to go back to basics, which is ironic that they can't even say that. But let's go back to basics with the original film,
Mhm.
and try to deliver on that. So we have a film where the Predator this is 18th century, circa 1715, if you will, and we're again in a situation where we have the Predator who's hunting, and he comes across people. There's a lot of killing. There's a lot of killing that happens, and there's the last person surviving, and we get to see how this person is able to overcome the force of nature that the Predator is, who is bigger, faster, stronger, better equipped, and how they're able to eke out a victory once more against the Predator. So I think that's a decent overview without giving away too much before we get into it. Yeah, I mean, feel free to add in more.
I don't really have too much. I don't have much to add. I think that bringing up the part of the gun, that's something I want to end on because of how the continuity works or doesn't work with this film. Like, usually these circles, Hollywood does not like to close the circle to say that, well, you can say anything, but you can say anything as far as how movies go. But let's go. We have this new talent is in the lead here, and just like I said with like Get Out, we have someone who's a definite talent You could see this talent. She really is a face that you can watch the entire movie. The same way I felt with Get Out and the lead in Get Out, which I was kind of saying, this is a movie where we have one guy who seems to be the victim, and how is this going to carry through? And him as an actor carry through the whole movie. Now, her character is a little different because she is a character who's going through her female hero's journey where she wants to be a hunter, and obviously the rest of of her tribe is like, no, you're a great healer, you can track and all this other stuff. You're better doing those things and helping out around the way. And
But I just want to touch on that. They never dissuade her from hunting. They never dissuade her from hunting, but they do say, you're really good at these other things. Why do you want to do this? And her response is the great response of, because you think I can. That's it.
well, she's a woman getting kicked in the morning every morning. She's getting kicked.
Okay.
So let's not, as much as we're gonna go in on this, she's getting kicked. So they're telling us something that she's low on the scale of things. So just get up and get to work. She don't. The other problem is, like I say, I mean, I don't know if your father or your mother, woke you up. They didn't wake me up nicely, so I don't have a problem with it. But usually I get up. Chick ain't get up, but they're trying to show us something that she's kind of low on the scale of things. But this would be the same with how kids are treated, to be like, get to work. I need you to make these moves. You're sleeping too long.
Even that, we see her getting kicked. The woman who she's speaking with, her mom, she's not getting kicked.
Everybody else is up. The son is up. The mom is up.
The premise that somehow, she's low on the totem pole, but no, you're low on the totem pole because that's where you are. You haven't really earned anything past that, and because you don't want to do what it is that you're good at right now, you don't want to do you don't want to do like the healing or any of that type of stuff. You want to go do this. Well, yeah, that's why you stay there, because you're not putting your energy into raising your value that way, or raising yourself up the totem pole, that way. But that's me, because I really don't want to give this film any excuses for I don't want to give it any excuses for it, because if they decide to go into that route of, oh, look, this is how the women were treated and so on and so forth, like, no, this is your film, and if that's what you're displaying somebody who's not up and about when everybody else is. There are no alarm clocks, so you're going to get this foot, and you're going to get up.
So we have this, as you told me earlier in the rule. We have this actress. Her name is Amber Midthunder. She's
Yes.
definite new talent, and I don't know how new she is, but new to me. And she
Well,
looks
she's been on a few series, so
Okay.
she, but if you these are TV shows that are more niche shows, and so that means, like, look, if you're watching them, you know of her. If you don't, you don't. She hasn't been on anything that would be like with mass market appeal, like a Game of Thrones, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, she's definitely, someone who can carry film. There's not much. I mean, this isn't similar to someone saying that obviously the pitch was kind of like, because they already had the gun aspect, but when they're pitching, it's like, but this is going to be our Predator, kind of the Revenant meets Predator type of thing. So they have a lot of things of wide shots, gorgeous shots of America, hinting of things that we can't see, like, kind of bear traps. That stuff that this Indian culture, as these tribes is kind of running into, which is kind of slowly builds as far as getting to the next stage of the sort of the characters we get. So ultimately, in my mind, this is this is a Hollywood movie. So you go in there, there's a lot of elements, and I say Hollywood movie. When I say something is a movie, that means it's usually a solid movie. Like it works the way Hollywood movies work. But when I say a Hollywood movie, there's a lot of Hollywood cliches and things that Hollywood does that, plays to the genres and says, hey, this is a movie, so this character gets to do this, that, and the other. So I think that's where the film fails, is that it's a little too much playing into what an action hero gets to do, how you're able to survive, some of the tricks and the gadgets and all this other stuff. All the stuff that you would see in a Hollywood film in like a sequel. Whereas the Predator, the original Predator, was really like, in this how a genre goes, it was kind of in the revisionist stage of a slasher slash sci-fi or even army film. Because when I was a kid, I wasn't a kid. I think I was 17 or 18, and I was kind of, well, I was jaded even before then. So I had seen a lot of. I liked some Arnold films. I didn't like Raw Deal or Commando or some of the other stuff. There was a lot of who's those guys? Chuck Norris films, Missing in Action. I was like, oh my God. And my brother would go see these things. I'm like saying, why? Why? We know what's going on here. So when me and my brother were sitting to see this, the original, not this, but the original Predator, my father was showing it to us, and we're just like, come on, this can't be good. This cannot be good. And then we're watching it, and it's like, oh, it's a surprise here. This is the first plot point, and they find out that everything is BS. What they're there for, they don't even know why they're really there for. And then next thing you know, we get the sci-fi aspect. Whereas one of my teachers said it was like, this is basically a slasher film, but it does the same way the first Alien did. It kind of broke down every cliche. Even they had all the toughest guy in the team, the guy who got the biggest gun, he gets taken out. Like the biggest gun gets taken out. Next thing you know, when Arnold says, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And none of that stuff works. And their plan fails. It's just a brilliant film. They really put it together. And even when Arnold's supposed to be able to beat up the Predator, he gets slapped around the entire jungle for it seemed to be 30 minutes. And then even at the end, when he kind of catches them, the Predator sees it. And then Arnold, his character, he gets lucky, and Dutch actually stops him. But he has to run and sit for his life because he's got a freaking like some sort of atom bomb or something like that. So it's a really interesting movie. But since then, the other movies have played more to the Hollywood thing and kind of haven't been as strong for me, as you're going on. And obviously the second one kind of introduced some elements like the Alien and Alien versus Predator, which was already done in the comic books, and this aspect of seeing this old gun. So, but I don't think the other films for me have kind of measured up. I was kind of happy about this. Every time I hear Predators, I'm like, oh, this could be good. Or Shane Black is back. I'm like, oh, this could be good. Oh, if the Predator versus the Indian tribe, oh, this could be good. But then it's all the stuff of this girl trying to prove herself. But there's an interesting part of the Predator where this Predator is like a regular hunter. Like a regular hunter is kind of like, hey, all right, I'm going to throw out some bait. We're going to throw a boar or this. A lion's going to come after this boar, and then I'm going to kill the lion. So it's kind of like the way hunters work, where they can't always do I'm going to try to be as quiet as I can. I'm going to use my marksmanship. It's kind of drawing the prey out using these other methods. And so it's like it's like a matador, all of the things in your favor. So it's but he kind of, for the Hollywood audiences, this Predator stops the top prey from killing the top predators from killing the smaller prey. So I think it's a wolf or dog chasing after a rabbit. The rabbit survives. The predator does not like rabbits, so he doesn't eat that. The predator kind of looks around. There's like some buffalo that's been killed. The predator is like, what is going on here? You can see him kind of wondering what this is about, but that's him also tracking the tougher predator. And that leads to this sort of French group that have kind of been, after killing the buffalo and kind of doing stuff to the Indian tribe. So there has some aspects of good, but it gets bogged down in doing this hero's journey where it also has a little too much David and Goliath. And I think it's really hard to do a really strong David and Goliath story because you have someone that's like the size of somebody's thumb fighting like a tall giant. And it's like, yeah, but in your faith, you could do it. It's like, no, not always. Don't tell the public that this can work because it can't work. You can't physically match up with all your skills. And it gets a little too much like, like Hit Girl or X-23 from the Logan movie. But X-23 is like augmented and she got claws, so she can do all of the jumping around and hiding in this. And so I think they go a little too far with that stuff. So, I mean, what is your feeling on her character and her hero's journey, which they really concentrate on?
Oh, well, Well, again, if there's a definition of a Mary Sue, then that's what Naru's character is from start to finish. It's it was so blatant. It was blatant. It was unapologetic. We're going there with this particular character. She is a healer. She is a tracker. She is a warrior. She is a hunter, and she's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else, and possessing of probably the best luck I have seen on a character in some time. I mean, I mean, this is one of the trophies that you have, in film and TV. And it's part of life as well that men are expendable. And I'm like, okay, but like all of them, including the exceptional men, they're expendable too. We're just going to get rid of all of them. They're all gone. Like all of these guys die. And in most cases, they all die so she can live on. Especially when they killed her brother, who I was like, man, that was a really good character you had right there. And that's the best that you could do for him. He's got to die too, sacrificing for her. It was just really, really hard to swallow. The bit with the tomahawk and the rope attached to the tomahawk. I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't work.
They had two uses of it, not just as a weapon and to be retractable, but using it to get out of that mud, the quicksand / mud thing.
Which is such a contrivance, because the whole idea is it's Chekhov's gun again, where all right, we got to see, if we show it, we're going to see this again later. So okay, she's going to fall in the quicksand. All right, great. We know she's going to use the quicksand again later. Yeah, but the whole scene was to again, it shows her to be resourceful and so on, but also so we can demonstrate the quicksand, what's how she finds it. Okay, now she's going to get out of it. So, that whole sequence there. And then the funny thing was that, hey, for all the use of the quicksand, at the end of the day, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. She ended up
that's the other thing. It's like, but she had another plan to back that plan up. Like, good Lord.
I'm still trying to sort out how was she able to use she had to be taught through how to use a flintlock gun that she somehow pulled off. She was able to, it had to be, look, you're going to put some powder in, put the ball in, this, that, and the other. And she was able to do it. No problem at the end of the day, and she had to be talked through doing the flintlock gun, but then she's able to use the Predator's alien tech and just like, there was no issue with it. So, they just decided, look, she's going to be able to do whatever the hell we want her to do at the end of the day, even if it's going to just totally go into that cliche of a Mary Sue character. And they just went there with it. It was a lot of, just too many scenes for me. Hard, were just too. I couldn't suspend disbelief on them. So after I watched the film, I said, let me just check out a couple of reviews. A couple of reviews on this. I wanted to watch a couple of reviews that were favorable, a couple of reviews that were not, favorable. And I noticed that anybody who was favorable, they didn't focus on the story. They focused on the cinematography. They focused on the setting. They focused on the depiction of the Comanche people. They focused on that. Anybody who didn't like it, they focused on the story. And the one prevalent thing I kept hearing is, well, people are saying, well, how can a 110-pound girl fight off the Predator? Well, how can a 240-pound man fight off the Predator? I was like, the answer is neither of them can fight off the Predator. We saw that in the first movie. Schwarzenegger tries, and that's why that movie was great. The writing on that was just great because, like you said, it takes every single cliche, every single convention, and it takes it and then it just turns it on and so you're like, no. This is not what you're expecting right over here. No, we kill that. We're gonna, we put a pin in that, put a fork in it, and now we're gonna move on to the next one. To the point when you're at the end, you're like, okay, how the hell does he get out of this? How the hell does he get? Because he went over. You think he's gonna die. He gets smeared in the mud. He's like, okay, so that saves him. Now he doesn't run away. He's like, no, now I'm gonna take revenge and so on and so forth. So we got that cliche. Okay, great. So what's he gonna do? He's gonna just kick the Predator's ass. No, falls in the water. He loses that invisibility. Now he's got to fight, but the Predator's like, okay, we're going to fight hand to hand. He's like, all right, see, now you're going to fight me straight up. You're not going to cheat with that camouflage. Okay, let's see what happens. And the Predator quickly shows, no, you got no chance with me hand to hand either. He spends the rest of the time running. The rest of the time running away, tries to lure him into a trap. The predator's like, no, I think I got this now. I wasn't, you got me first time in a net. And then I'm looking at this. Okay, using some stuff I'm not recognizing, but I think I got you. Walks around, getting ready to kill him, and he just gets lucky. That's all it is.
Yeah,
He
it's
just
a
gets
laugh.
lucky.
It's an audible. It's a total audible where it's like that what makes it real. Where he just says, "Oh, if I make this move," because he's like, "Go, I got it, I got you. Go this way," and he does something that's totally unplanned, but that works. So that's the thing. It's like an audible, is the best part of that, and it's one of the things with it is that the original one, and this is one thing that people forget when they watch these movies. If you look at the original Predator, they don't destroy physics too bad, right? Yeah, if they're using these machine guns and they're shooting down the trees and they got powerful things like that, a tree might go in the other way. But when the guy with the glasses gets knocked and hits into a tree and he's finished, like he's totally finished. Saying in real life, if you hit into something, you get knocked into like a tree or something like that, and you're into your chest, you're done for days. Like he's like, I could make it, man. No, in this movie, he takes her and slams her on the ground, throws her to the side, and she gets. But like, I understand this is how movies work, but we're not in when you watch. This is the thing. There's a difference in like watching the first Die Hard, right? There's a way to let you know we're gonna have fantastic action, right? So in the first Die Hard, they're saying there's gonna be gunplay, some explosions, but not too crazy action. We're gonna have real life stuff. We're gonna have some jumping, but you're gonna kind of believe this. When you get to Live Free and Die Hard, early on they show you it's gonna be, wang bang action, right? So it sets up when you see him jumping off a plane to the side of the thing. They've set it up since the first scene when all the army guys come in and bullets are bouncing around the room and he's jumping and hiding next to the refrigerator and all this stuff. You set up how you do this. If you build the movie the way they did with all this reality and the thing and the hunting and all this basic stuff, you're not allowing yourself to do fantastic action. So you have to make sense of this. You can't just be like, all right, now we're doing suspend your disbelief action. No, you've set up these these locales and all this other stuff. You can't do it. It doesn't work.
And the Predator is supposed to be hunting the best of the best. Okay, when he goes in the first movie, and even in the second movie, when Gary Busey's character comes over to, when he comes over to Danny Glover's character, and he's like, "Hey, you're the lion of the hunt. That's the only reason why you're still here." He wants you last. He's taking out everybody else, and then he's going to go after you. You're the top prize at the end of the day. And the same in the first. He's whittling down. He could take them all out at once if he wanted to. He's like, no, I'm going to work my way up. This is the smallest game. That's the big game. You're the last guy I'm going to take out. But when in that same sequence, when the guy gets hit with the tree and he goes into the only reason why we believe it is because they had some establishment of showing that these guys were the top dudes at their game. These are like the apex soldiers because they come in and mow down those gorillas. Those guys never have a shot. Okay, so these guys, so you believe that, okay, this dude, if anybody, would be able to make it. He's not necessarily going to be able to fight, okay, but we're going to wrap him up. Just like when you watch the Kung Fu movie, the guy gets stabbed with the sword, but he comes over here, ties around his waist, and you believe it. Like, yeah, okay, you've already been established enough that, okay, I'm going to suspend that this guy's tough enough to make it through. So you can throw out the whole reality portion. The lead actress, okay, is without a doubt, she's got star quality, but I never got anything to believe that she would be capable of doing any of this stuff, even from the first tomahawk throw. And you're really asking me to believe a lot at this point because you had her brother, Tabi, in the film. And this guy came across like, okay, I can believe that this guy, he doesn't look like incredibly big or anything, but the guys at that time wouldn't have been big, but I can believe that this guy could at least throw a spear, with some accuracy. And, he had he's a newbie too. I think this might be this is like his debut film, but he came across with enough gravitas that I believe, okay, if he has a spear, he could come back with the lion. And a great scene for him when he's riding around on the horse, attacking the predator like that way. And I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna team up and they'll get the predator that way. And they're like, no, we got to kill him because this has to be all her with the kill. She comes in, She kills all of the, oh god, the thing with those the French traders, the Salvadores. I was like, this can't be more of a caricature if they tried. Down to the bad teeth. It was just so. It was just that was just
Well,
wild. I was like, she's gonna
everybody
kill
got
all of
bad
them.
teeth back there. You know, well, I will
Not
say,
not the Comanches. The Comanches are beautiful. They
well,
got
okay,
clear
you got me
skin,
there.
good teeth.
But
They look great.
I will say the thing of it is when Naru is fighting the other like the hunters and she's able to do her X-23 moves and it's just like yo chill with that. She just could be.
Yep.
They got to team up to take her out. Then the French guys they can't beat her up in a cage. She's able to do this and it's just like all right, we understand she's the lead, but stop saying because she's the lead that she can beat up everybody. Like, I mean, you can't. You're pushing your luck, saying, "All right, with this elite, what would Bruce Willis do? What would like?" No, okay. If even in Over the Top, you set up that this guy is the best at what he does in the initial thing, so you're gonna get the fantastic action from that. You can't just say, "Hey, why can't she just do all the stuff that Bruce Willis and
Because these
all the other guys do?"
because all of those guys are even Bruce Willis when we meet him is in a he's a veteran police officer. That's what allows us to suspend disbelief at the end of the day that he's never done this before necessarily, but he has enough experience on the job that we believe he could survive this.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you have to establish. This is her first hunt. It's her first hunt. And then when we see her on the first hunt, and what happens? She ends up getting knocked out. When the mountain.
No, she kills the lion, but at the same time she had to take a fall at the same time, and her brother took the credit from her. We all know, the audience knows she did it. She killed the lion. She killed them while all the team didn't know what they were doing. Her plan worked. Get up in the tree, fall off the tree, and then throw. Like, how are you going to get any sort of momentum falling and throwing the come on. We're asking too.
But that's the pandering. That's the pandering that they do when they have the female lead. No. It was you. Everything was you. The plan was yours. You weakened it. I stole the credit. So on and so forth. It's just wild. It's wild at the end of the day because, again, I just watching it like it's still fiction. It's still fiction at the end of the day, and the rules of fiction still apply. It's not enough that this person is supposed to win. The audience has to want this person to win. You shouldn't be ambivalent, shouldn't be apathetic towards it. The audience should want to see her defeat the predator. It's like Aliens versus Predator had a similar situation with the first time when we had the female lead, and none of this stuff happened. None of this stuff happens. Sanaa Lathan's character comes out. She's like, no. She's not a warrior or a fighter or anything. She's got to adapt quickly. But we can suspend belief. Why? Because we see that she's tough enough to climb up the side of a mountain in the cold. So we believe, okay, she will be tough enough to survive this particular thing. And she has the predator. She's working with another predator, to get through. So we can make the jump over there. But what's more, by the time they get to the end and they're fighting the alien queen, we want to see these guys win. We don't want to see that thing win. We want to see them win. We want to see how they're going to pull. We're going to see how pull this off. With this film, to be, it wasn't that I wanted to see her lose. I didn't care. By the time it got to it, I was like, this is just so over the top. I don't care what happens any longer. And when they decided to make her war chieftain at the end, I just said, I can't believe this. I said, I can't believe this. I was like, she's the war chieftain? I was like, there was nobody else? And I was like, wow, you know what? There was nobody else. They killed everyone else.
That's the other thing. They're going to have to find they're going to have to make some trades, get some new men. Well, no. All right. Let's go back.
They don't need any men in there. I'm going
to say this, right? Ultimately, I think with what is that thing? I think if we go to what the movie is telling, like you said, you have the alien queen in Aliens versus Predator. You have these survivors, the last two survivors, and you don't want the aliens to win and get out and then spread and do that. So there's a thing to killing. The difference in this is that you have an out. This Indian tribe is not the biggest predator. So, and he's not after them. So can basically go home and just not hold their weapons up and not chase after anything, and they won't be looked at as the biggest predators on Earth right now. So, and then the predator gets to take the gun back on the ship and set up part two, being a loop instead of because they like to have movies have to have loops because he said the line, "If it bleeds, you kill it." This is where you stand. They don't like storytelling loops. They're like, no, we don't have to follow that. They got the gun some other time. That gun was a different gun. Some other predator came and brought that gun back. But I just think when you look at this stuff, they could have just easily ran home and said, this predator isn't after us. He sees our plight. We kind of tried to fight it, and he showed we can win, and let's just go home. But that obviously wouldn't be the most action. But that's the story you're telling. You're not telling the predator isn't really after them. They threw their weapons up, and predator said, "I got to deal with you. I got to cut you up," and that's what happened. So ultimately, they could get out. They had an out, but they had said, "You know what? Now we have to win." What? Predator saved you from those guys. These guys are trying to murder you. These guys are trying to kill your whole existence.
And what's more, earlier in the film, she says, "Look, there's something out there. We need to go and find it. Go past our boundaries." Like, wait a minute, why do we got to go out there and go find trouble?
Yeah.
Again, it's just on so many levels. It's wild. And then I also, when I was looking at the reviews, I realized, okay, this is going to be like another repeat of Wonder Woman, where nobody wants to give a bad review because it's a female lead and it's dealing with the Comanche people. And these guys are like, I don't, I can already see these guys coming after me if I don't say anything good about this. I'm going to focus on everything except the bad story.
Well, I will say there's a part that I liked in this, even though it was a little too reminiscent of The Revenant. The bear comes and the bear is like going to kill her. She has the dumb idea that she can take this bear out by herself. This is the other problem. To be a tribe in this thing, being one with the land, is not to have this thing where you're constantly fighting and having the nonsense. Like they gotta work as a team. Like I mean, even in the what's that thing? Outlander, like where the lead is the healer with the Jacobite tribe, the Jacobite army. Like basically they work, even though they kind of like they really tired of the girl. They work as a team together. You can see even the people she struggles with. They start to know there's a team. These people, they should be a team now. So when they're in there, they're not constantly saying, "Hey, we could use her as a healer." Like this stuff, like they keep going to the standard Hollywood stuff. When you get to the scene and she's ridiculous thinking, "I can take out this bear with a couple spears and whatnot," and that's not going to stop it. So she does her thing. The bear figures out what's going on. I'm getting to the scene I like. It's coming up at some point, right? So the bear is going to get her. Then the dog is like, "You know what? I'm going to try to do something." So the dog barks, and then the bear chases the dog, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, I like the dog in this movie. The next scene, right? Because they're going all the other end. She's decided, let me gather all my stuff so we can kill the thing. The dog is booking the other way. When you see your friend booking the other way, you run. That scene where the dog was out of here, like, we're out. I did as much as I could. We should be gone. That was the plan. She's like, no, I can get it. Like, like the dog, that was the dog was just like booking. Like, that was it. I survived. I don't know how, but you should have been gone, girl. I can't do nothing. I did as much as I could. And then she's like, oh no. Next thing you know, then the predator comes. And I will say I didn't like, since obviously she looks like how, 21st century, the Indian tribe. This is how they look like. There's no evolution here. Why do they have to have? I understand different armor, but they had the predator evolve a little in the face and have a different face.
It looked like they were ready to go out to the nightclub. No, they all look beautiful. I was like, and that's where again I'm looking at the French dudes. These guys, look all slovenly. Look like they barely dressed. Bad teeth. Comanches look great. I was like, okay.
I got top teeth, no wooden bottom teeth.
I was like, all right, I get it. Take a hint. Those are the evil guys. We know why.
Then if the predator's after the evil guys, then why do you need to kill the predator? The predator isn't after the people. He might have taken out a couple of apex predators in your. No, you already said it. It wasn't even in their land. They're just like I'm gonna kill some of those things. I'm killing the people, and you still can eat rabbits and all of the little vermin around the area and all that stuff. You'll still have food to have, and the predator's gonna be gone. And the predator will take the gun. Like, nope, you got to kill it. And I say, yeah, it's a cool visual having, the guy, the lead of the Indian tribe on the horse and doing his thing. That was a cool shot. It was a nice visual. I didn't want him to win, but I was just like, because that's at the same part when you have something that's so much more powerful than the other thing. And I used this when we talked before, saying the scene where we like to see Spider-Man beat up someone bigger. We like to see the David and Goliath stuff. But in a lot of times when Rick Mahorn used to play on the Bad Boys, and he was traded, and then he got into this altercation with Isaiah Thomas, who's like, I think he might be just a tad bit shorter than I am as far as basketball height. So it's like he's not that big, and he got mad at Rick Mahorn, and he's jumping up and hitting him, and Rick Mahorn didn't move. And it's just like, that's what you're dealing with. You don't
no effect at all.
And that's the thing. You don't even you tough. You might be able to fight, and then you run it because he's from. What's he from? He's from Chicago. From he was like his brothers were had struggled with drugs. He's from the streets, and you can put the biggest guy. You can be tough. You fight all that time. You fight someone like 6'7", and you throw a punch, and it's like this guy is solid as a rock. Don't feel a thing. It don't matter how good
that's also Rick Mahorn. So Rick Mahorn is not your average 6'7" dude either. You got some 6'7" guys. You might hit them and they might crumple like paper, but not Rick Mahorn.
He was so big he didn't even retaliate. That was how bad it was. He didn't retaliate.
He was probably stunned. He was like, "Huh?"
I get it. You guys are the bad boys now. We gotta fight us. Yeah, I get it. I think the same happened when what's the name? Fouled,
you remember that story with what's it? Jamie Foxx getting into a fight with LL Cool J?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And punched him in the face. He punched.
They were like, at first the people were telling me that Fox had beat up Cool J, and I was like, huh? And then when I heard the whole thing, it was like, no, Cool J got hit, and then he kind of like looked at him and said, why did you hit me? And then when he explains it, he's like, okay, now I'm going to beat you up.
But the other bit was like he took the punch to the face, and then he went back to acting the scene out. And then in the next scene when they're playing, he's like this. He said the guy said he blasted him, and his LL's description was grabbing the helmet, taking it off, and then hitting them. But it's like that's the thing when you got someone. I mean, you got someone that's like. Yeah, you can be tough. I don't think there was Jack Johnson where he's fighting like a lighter weight, and the guy sucker punched him because it's supposed to be an exhibition fight, and he sucker punched him and dropped Jack Johnson, and Jack Johnson got up and just said, "Bang, bang, bang! That's not what's an exhibition, you dummy!" And he's like, "No, I got my shot off," and then next thing you know, Jack Johnson stomped him out. He's like, "No, that's not how it goes." On that case, but at the same time, where you have, or like I was just watching something on Michael Spinks being a light heavyweight going up against a lot of real heavyweights, but the heavyweight division, even though he did well early on, then when it came to Tyson, he wasn't even able to do anything. It was kind of, it's not something that you should always do, and when you do it, you can.
He did pretty well. He showed us the art of bottom fighting. He was doing a good job of looking up at Tyson, like, all right, if you get down on here on this ground, you're in trouble. Well, I guess you don't want to do it.
But yeah, it's but the thing is, we don't want to, because Hollywood comics, everyone has used up the David and Goliath thing so much. They act like it's a convention when it's a cliche, right? So when you do it, you have even in that thing, people made fun of the Karate Kid for years, saying, "Oh, the montage, you learn how to fight." But he got his ass kicked more than he won in that tournament. They were stomping him out. He was just winning by points, and that's what Miyagi had taught him: defense, so he could get a point. That was it.
I don't think they don't seem to get it with that type of stuff. The Predator, these guys, what happened? They were very fortunate. Okay, they had very fortunate moments, and Miyagi was. Oh, that'd be a whole nother show. But Miyagi is training him to do what? To be competent in this tournament. He's not training him to jump off walls and do flying kicks, and do split. Just enough to get through this tournament for a point system, so he can get these guys off his back. That's it. Okay, that's it. He's got beginner's luck going for him. What is it? He's still getting tagged. He gets his leg wrecked. Okay, and then the one technique that he happens to practice when Miyagi, that he happens to practice without Miyagi, the one technique that he happens to practice just happens to come into play for him, and it works. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
something.
it.
It's something that what's the name? This competitor hadn't seen, and there was a total surprise. So it's like, what is this? Was it just get the point? Just
like, what is he doing? Just get the point. Get the point. Oh, my face.
Yeah. So it's. That
was an illegal kick.
I feel going back to this movie, I feel that it's probably gonna do well. It has a strong lead. If you're looking at a movie, you're kind of saying, oh, this person is good as a lead. I probably would like to see her in more things, and then it hints to doing another Predator versus the Samurai and whatnot. But I'm not gonna watch another movie where you have people with staffs and swords, and the Predator got all this high tech, and it's like, oh yeah, you got me. The Predator's like, oh, you got me.
Well,
you got me good.
We got the samurai treatment in what was it, Predators, when they had all those guys on the planet, and then they had the Yakuza guy, and he finds a sword, and they do. And here's the thing: as cliche as that may have been, I loved that scene. I love that scene.
Yeah,
I love the scene. He's like, I'm gonna come over here, and they're doing the whole thing, and straight out of like a Yojimbo movie or something. I really, as come on, you can't beat the Predator with the daito, with the katana. You can't do that. But again, that's where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna suspend disbelief just because I want to see this, because I'm such a fan of those type of films. They decided to do it with the Predator film. I'm a fan of that. It was just like, I was like, what? Let me see how well they execute this, and I can go with it. So you can still get people on board with like, all right, I'm going to give you something that would be really cool in another genre, but I'm going to do it here. Okay. And, like, all right, cool. I'm a fan of this. Let's see how well you execute. But it's just too many. For me, it was just too many things. It's too heavy a lift with the disbelief. With the suspending of disbelief, the pandering was just so thick. The pandering was thick enough to choke on at the end of the day. And see, I like two things about the film. I liked Tabi's character, her brother, but the thing is, I shouldn't like him more than the lead. And they didn't make him a nice guy. They made him a noble character. He's very patient with his sister. He loves his sister. She does all this stuff. He takes her side. He compliments her. He gives her credit. And then he's still a capable warrior. All this stuff. I'm like, well, he's great. I would really like to see more about that guy. He's close to like an archetype, which I really enjoy in terms of characters. I would rather see more about him than her, who's just doing all this stuff. And for the sake of pandering to a female audience. And the only thing that I liked more than that was the dog. The dog was excellent. Give the dog a sequel.
Yes. Well, I don't think they got they were doing what we would do, like what we've seen all the time with the young girl wanting to be something that, the society won't allow her to be, rather than saying,
you mean Shuri?
Well, that's what we probably gonna see in this World of Wakanda thing. But it's like you have to. I mean, you can do this, and you got all these, as the cinematography and all that stuff. You can hide doing a regular. That's the thing. Like the Predator hit a slasher and broke every cliche in what should just have been an action film. Same with Aliens. They had a slasher film hidden in a sci-fi movie, but they broke every cliche possible in the first movie, which made sense when you did the second movie. It just was a commando film, but even though it was a commando film in the second one, it said that they can't actually beat these aliens. And that's the hard part that people forget. It's like, hey, yeah, it was just a commando film. Aliens was just a commando film, even though they had the female lead kind of had to take it, take the end of the fight. But they didn't say that, hey, we're, like, what's the name gets superpowers and she can fight the alien queen by herself. There's a perfect storm of how she got to do what she did and that sort of thing. So it was on the edge, but it's like they had the bigger commandos go through it. And they had the girl moment when she said, all right, you guys go to sleep. And then the guy, Paul Reiser, locks them in the room, and they're running for their life in the room, where it's just like, hey, if you're against these, face hugger, there's not much you can do. Then didn't turn into her doing some karate and doing 3 moves like Beatrice Kiddo and Kill Bill, where it's like, hey, here's I'm better than everybody. Bill taught me all these rules, so I'm even better than the Asian girl that's been doing the karate while I was dead. So it's just kind of, when you're doing these movies, and I get it, you could do the standard, but you have to remember what made the first one good, and that's like, let's see how much cliches we can break down, and that's when you get to the really good meat, and you care about the characters instead of saying, you know what, she has to beat the hell out of the Predator. And I was surprised that she didn't carry the Predator on his back to the thing. So, hey, we're gonna be eating Predator today. I don't know what Predator tastes like. It tastes like it's a little gamey, but it's like that sort of thing. So this is definitely not a recommend for me. We haven't talked about recommending movies in a while, or comics, but it's definitely not a recommend. I haven't thoroughly enjoyed a Predator film outside of the first one. I stopped the Predators early, so I haven't made it through outside of seeing the second one in the theaters, and I had some issues with that. But they at least tried to do some things in there, and at the end they said, all right, Danny Glover won, but you can't beat all of us. We allowed this to happen, and basically we letting you know that we can take
such
you out
a cool moment. That was such a cool moment, because I mean, little things in films, work for me, because I love the fact that he fought him, and again, he gets lucky. Even with one hand, the Predator is like, look, he gets lucky. I was like, I'm gonna play possum, hope this works. Okay, good, no problem. And he has to have his weapon. But as soon as the other Predators come, I never knew, does he drop the weapon because he's terrified, or does he like drop the weapon because he realizes, hey, if I drop this weapon, maybe I got a shot. He just exhausted at the end of the day. And the Predators, they have their code, so they leave him alone, because you defeated, this was your fight, you defeated this, so you're good. But even the same thing, like, they're leaving, he's still on the ship. He's like, I gotta get out. And then he's doing the Richard Pryor. He's doing the Richard Pryor run, like looking around, like, oh, looking around, trying to get out this ship. We were just dying laughing. I thought it was. I thought that was. It's hard I know it's hard for the sequel to surpass the original. It doesn't necessarily happen very often, but I thought that was a solid sequel. It was definitely not as good as the original. It was entertaining, plenty of stuff to go through. I was able to crack up at all the bad Jamaican accents. That stuff was great. And then I think the only other one was the Aliens versus Predator, the first one, but you can't really count that as a sequel, as that was more like an intro to these guys sharing the same universe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this one over here, I see. I've come to the acceptance that, look, some people do not care about story or quality when it comes to their entertainment. If they're entertained and they like it, that's enough for them. So, hey, if you're entertained and you like it, that's cool. For me, it's like, there's certain things that I watch and I'm in the same breath. I don't really care too much about everything else. If I'm entertained and I like it, no problem. And then there's situations like with this film, I'm like, look, it's just, for me and the way my brain works, it's just too much. I can't get into this because it's too much of the things that make something bad. Okay, just clear across the board. But again, when it comes to the arts is, we decided that the arts was subjective. So, we'll have to come up with a 1.5 million reasons to show, to explain why it is that we felt that this wasn't good. And somebody else can just shrug their shoulders and say, hey, I liked it. So that's where it is at the end of the day. But some of the justification for the film, and I thought the unwillingness to just call a spade as to what the film was doing. I don't know. Maybe like I know that Disney's behind this, so maybe Disney was like, "Hey, look, if we do this right, we could have another Disney princess on our hands. We could do something along those lines." But there was some. I mean, there was some stuff that they. I don't know what they could have done with this because I thought they did so much. I, I got taken out of the film when I saw her throw in the tomahawk for the first time, and I said, "There is no way she threw that tomahawk and it landed that way. There's no way." I'm watching you throw it and you do the cut, and I'm like, "There's no way she threw that." Maybe if she used two hands, it would have sailed up. But there's just no way this is going on at the end of the day. And there are other movies where people do stuff. Okay, they'll throw a spear or something of that nature, and I don't have a problem because they sold it. They used put your body into it a little bit more. Do something to help me go along with this. And at every turn it was just like, look, you just either accept it or don't accept it. So like, okay, I'm not going to accept it. But your mileage may vary. Those of you out there, you may watch it and say, hey, this was great. You loved it at every turn. You don't have any issues with it, and you enjoy it. No problem. You enjoy it. It still sucks, but it's possible to like sucky stuff. I know I've liked some sucky stuff in my life as well.
Well, I mean, I think there's always, I mean, it's not something that you can do a scorecard as far as suspend disbelief, but I think one of the harder things is that people don't, they just say we're in a movie. So there's dramas that need to worry about suspension of disbelief, and obviously there's sci-fi that needs, but a lot of times they just say, hey, we're in a movie. Like you can jump from a building to the ground and you don't get hurt. Whereas, you watch the Matrix, they're doing these jumps and not getting hurt because they're saying the Matrix isn't real. So they're saying you can bend this reality and the physics into your how you need to do it because it's not real. So they set it up early on rather than going through this thing where you kind of just have a random scene and saying audiences are smart enough to realize it's a movie and we don't need to go through that. Whereas this thing is like we're trying to set up that she's a hunter and they won't accept it. And it's just like, this kind of we've seen this before a lot of time. But it's just like it's just the B story to the A story that leads to all the stuff. And it's just like try to make something. The story is that these guys aren't the top predators. Obviously, the French guys are. So you have a situation where even if they came into conflict with the predator isn't really after them, so they can go back home, back to their lives, and everybody can go back alive. But nope, they can't do that because it's a movie. She's got to win and carry the predator on her back and say, "I did it. I'm the chief." Like I had to speed. I actually literally had to fast forward through most of this movie. Sorry, I had to do it.
She does so well against the predator. It makes me like, well, why couldn't Dutch and those guys do better?
Well, the predator evolved. Look, what do you mean? She has moves. She has freaking 20 like the moves we see in movies now. We see some X-23 moves and Hit Girl moves and all that stuff. But we see these things where these little tiny munchkins can beat up like 6, 7 characters and flipping around and doing all this stuff and getting the leverage on people and all that. And it's just like, chill with that. Oh, I just ran by. Like the speed of the predator is way fast. That's the thing. People even taught. We're tossing out physics and we're tossing out the speed of the predator. None of those guys are as fast as the predator. That's the thing. When you look at the first movie, when they shoot, and you see the silhouette fall down, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, they got him, and then they still didn't get the predator. Like that's what's cool. It's like, hey, we see it. There's a chance. Nah, the predator already has this whole jungle mapped out and knows its ins and outs. And they're like, no, you got me. Oh, I'm fighting. You got me. So it's like, they're shooting, bleeding, busting through him, and it's just like we gotta tenderize him like a matador. So when she gets to the end, he's got nothing left, and he's an idiot because he don't know how to use his helmet.
That's how you do. That's how you do stuff. Like if you're doing like something animated for kids or something of that nature, where you could have like you could have a saber-tooth tiger fighting a wildebeest, and somehow the wildebeest is able to get him to run into these walls and kick and back, that type of nonsense. But anything other than that, if we showed a wildebeest and a lion, the wildebeest is dead meat unless it's able to run away. Now, if we see something where the wildebeest just happened to jump over something, the lion didn't see it, smashes into it. Okay, you got lucky. You live another day at the end of the day. But that for me was always the premise of the Predator. This guy is, and the first movie again demonstrates it. You can't stop this guy. Okay, you can't. You're not going to outsmart him. Okay, you're not going to outfight him. His technology is superior to yours. Okay, you're not going to do all this stuff. Okay, great. Now, how do you win? Okay, this guy beats you 7 ways to Sunday. How do you win? Oh, okay. It was just like literally a clever stroke of luck. You survived. You were the last man standing. You survived long enough. You're like Ishmael holding on to the raft for 3 days. You were just that fortunate at the end of the day, and it works because of the cleverness of how you get to that point. And then it becomes more like, no, we can just fight the Predator hand in hand. Like, no, you can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it took some of the weapons that he had. It was like, well, kind of pull those weapons out as they're trying to, like, this thing is cutting you. And that rock scene with the shield, and it's just like the kind of mirrored the Dutch scene. It's just like, yo, she should be dead. Just chop her head off and pull the brain out, pull the stem, and walk away. Like, come on. I had it at that point. So all right. So let's close this off. Anything else you want to say on this?
I really like the dog.
Yeah, I can't. When I saw the dog book it, that's what she should have went back, got the dog, and left town. It's like, oh no, look, my medicine freezes the body over, so you can't. Okay, all right, this is now you did it. Now you did it. So I regretfully sometimes I watch movies like, is this going to be one of those bad movies? And it turned out to be one of those. So
yes, it's one of those. It's one of those bad movies.
But I think that they probably got a buzz around this, and they got a talent going in here, and they please.
I think they realized that with who is it? Was this cat John Campia? Because I was watching something on his channel, and he gave it I don't know, even before, he said he saw it, and he said he really liked it. So I've heard some stuff that Campia had to say before. So I was like, okay, I'll take, I said, look, you know what? I'll take that as a reasonable, as short as it was, I'll take that as a reasonable review. I think that John Campia knows what he's talking about. And then when I saw it, I was like, okay, I get it now. This is something where they realize, oh, we can get a lot of push out of this in terms of, not necessarily in terms of making a good movie, but in good press. Good press for these other boxes we can check on this. So come on, everybody, let's just play along when it comes along to this, because I've seen him review other stuff and make the same criticisms that the two of us are making right now about the film, but for some reason he liked this one. So I was like, I get it. We're gonna soft pedal this one. Okay, we're gonna do some hands-off stuff because again, you can get some. You can definitely get a lot of great press for the stuff that was done in the movie, as long as you don't have to focus on the failings of the story.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't try to do a Prey 2, utilizing saying people like this so much, let's do it again. But you're gonna kill 2 predators this time. The predator's gonna kill some more of the settlers. You're gonna kill a whole tribe of a whole thing of settlers that are coming in trying to kill the alien, and then she'll kill 2 of them and get on their ship and fly it over to the rest of because there's only women there. Have the spaceship, take the spaceship away, and
the predator's gonna come kill everybody, and then see her and say, "Uh-oh, run away."
She's tough. She's too tough. It's gonna be like, no, this isn't David and Goliath. This is the mouse and the elephant. And then shut up. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe.
And check it out. Let us know what you thought. Your mileage may vary.
I'm saying don't check it out unless you want to complain with us. So, spin a rack.
Way out.
Out.